Hello, wanderers, and welcome back to the Outer Worlds.
Move along, stranger. We don't want any trouble. I don't know you. Whatever you're looking for, it ain't here. Move along.
I'm looking for Adelaide. I need some answers.
Answers, huh? You must be one of those philosophicals. Already got ourselves one of those.
Reed said something about former workers living out in the wilderness.
Yeah, that's us. And you can tell Thompson we're doing just fine by ourselves. If you're gonna start wandering around my camp, know that I got my sights on you.
Where can I find Adelaide?
Over in the hothouse, tending crop. Enough with the questions. No offense, but I've got a lot on my mind.
You and me both. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to repair my ship.
Well, look at you, buzzing around the aether with your very own ship. Rest of us gotta make do with the ground at our feet. No, I'm sorry. That was unworthy of me. Lady named Zoe went missing some nights ago. Just up and vanished without a trace. Now I'm pacing around wondering if marauders got to her.
Upbeat? A little strange? Loves Rizzos? Yeah, I met Zoe. She was in a marauder camp.
Thank the Eternal. Wait, marauder camp? Is she all right?
You mean, is she alright in the head, or...?
Zoe's family. Chiding her is our purview, not yours. If you could bring her home, I'd be obliged. And if you could cross off some marauders on the way, I'd be much obliged.
I've got questions about
I'll
Zoe.
tell you what I can.
How well do you know her?
Well, enough to know we never got on. Zoe and Stefan were close. If anybody knows the workings of her mind, he does.
You seem so personable. I can't imagine how you didn't get on with her.
She was lazy and thoughtless, but she's still one of our own.
Let's change the subject.
What is it?
Alright, I guess the next step will be to go find Stefan. Wow, look at how beautiful this place is. Especially compared to Edgewater. A lot of these buildings are abandoned. However, the greenhouse is open. But first, let's talk to Stefan. Wow, look, a chicken, a real-life chicken. Incredible. Would have never imagined that would be on Terra too.
You hungry? We got canid ribs, canid flank, canid snout too. Something I can help you with?
I heard one of your numbers gone missing.
You mean Zoe? Yeah, we were pretty close. Not like her to go loping off.
What happened the day Zoe disappeared?
Zoe and I were gonna watch the serials, as is our custom. She never turned up. I looked around, but she was nowhere to be found. You sound like some type of corporate fixer asking all these questions.
Tell me a little about Zoe.
Zoe was always obsessed with this serial. Masked Marketeer. A scion of Byzantium turns to banditry and teaches his marauder companions the wisdom of free market economics. Shame she up and vanished when she did. I had a surprise lined up for her.
What was that about surprising Zoe?
The other day I got my hands on a genuine copy of the latest Masked Marketeer. I was gonna surprise Zoe with it, but she was gone the next day.
Any chance you can lend me that copy of the Masked Marketeer?
Not much of a chance, no. Mind if I ask why you're interested?
Zoe's living with marauders nearby. I need something to tempt her back to the camp.
Zoe's living with marauders? Yeah, that sounds like the sort of sideways, brat-brained plan Zoe'd come up with. Yeah, it could be you're telling the truth. Or maybe you're trying to wheedle me into relinquishing my only copy of The Masked Marketeer. It's a collector's edition after all.
Look at my face. Do I look like I give a damn about your show?
Yeah, you're probably right. A true fan would have displayed a gleam in their eye upon hearing the words collector's edition. Here you go, latest copy of The Masked Marketeer. Tell Zoe we're all waiting on her.
I've got some more questions about Zoe.
I'll help if I can.
Was she acting strange before she disappeared?
Can't say I recall Zoe ever acting strange. Well, except for her habit of writing things down on scraps of paper. She called it journaling, but I think it's just plain odd.
Hold on, there was something else.
Hey, I got time.
What are you selling?
Fresh off the limb, and that includes canid meat.
This guy is really obsessed with canid meat. Ugh. We could do a little more research about this journaling Zoe's been doing, but since we've already met her and we also have the copy of The Masked Marketeer to lure her back, I think we should head over to Adelaide in the greenhouse.
Oh gosh, it's so pretty.
It is beautiful indeed. However, as we do a little more snooping, we discover none other than Mr. Eugene's golden teeth. Now, what would a sweet old lady be doing with a dead man's teeth?
If you're hungry, there's meat turning on the spit outside. If you're bearing illness, find a place to lay your head down and I'll fetch you a poultice. Whatever your troubles with Edgewater, leave them at the gates and be welcomed here. Any questions, dear?
You must be Adelaide.
I have been called that, among other things. Green Thumb, grandmother, the strange old lady who keeps flowers. But yes, Adelaide will do just fine.
Excuse me, Miss McDevitt? Sorry, it's just... You got such pretty trees in here.
Why, thank you. You're Robert's girl, aren't you? I remember when you were but a sprout. Thomas speaks of you often. Are you staying long? You should try some of my tobaccorn tea. I brew it in an old spittoon, but it's been cleaned.
Is this your greenhouse?
No, dear. The garden belongs to us all. Life is the gift of the universe, and the universe yields its bounty equally, absent of prejudice.
I'm surprised you've managed to grow anything out here.
The soil around the Vale went sour years ago, but I found a way to sweeten it back up. The secret recipe is a little bit of elbow grease, a dash of love, and a heaping pile of special fertilizer.
It looks like you've made a home for yourself here.
A home for anyone who's ever turned their backs on Edgewater. A home for those of us with nowhere left to go and nothing to lose. So, like the spores of the puffball, cast on the wind and alighting on fresh soil, we put down new roots.
Why did you leave your old home?
It is an unpleasant story, dear. But the short of it is that sometimes one wakes up and realizes the place that was once her home for much of her life has changed. The home in which we spent our lives has left us behind, and so we must move on. And that is as much as I will say on the subject.
Reed sent me to make peace with you.
Reed Thompson? You here on behalf of that cold-eyed reptile? Let's hear it. What's Reed's idea of peace, then?
Reed is asking you to consider coming back to town. He's willing to make amends.
Make amends? Spare me. Only thing Reed knows how to make is a mess. Like everything else that comes out of Edgewater, that peace offering is canned. I and my own are living just fine out here by ourselves.
Reed asked me to divert your power over to him. He mentioned the geothermal plant.
He would do such a thing. The question is, why would you agree to his plans?
Your camp has a power regulator. I needed to repair my
Cannery's
ship.
got a regulator. You want ship parts, you ought to rip them out of the cannery's guts and leave us be. If you're going down to the plant, you should divert power away from Edgewater and toward our end of the grid. Think about it. You'd be liberating an entire town from a lifetime of service to that odious cannery. Seems the sort of thing a hero would do.
What have you got against the town?
You've seen that miserable excuse for a town with your own lamps. Hollowed out workers laboring their lives away at the cannery, living off whatever scraps Spacer's choice throws them. You know that's true, don't you, Ms. Holcomb? Your father died of overwork. His heart gave out.
He was tired all the time, sure, but he was old, ma'am, and he raised me all by his lonesome.
Look what they did to this child. Lost her family to the company, and still she defends them.
Well, I don't much like you throwing that in her face just to get me on your side.
I'm all right. I ain't so fragile.
That was unkind of me. I'm sorry, dear.
This might sound strange, but I don't know where I am.
That's not strange at all, dear. Few of us truly know where we are. The world can seem like a forest without end, and it is all too easy to lose one's way. But we must remember that being lost is the first step in discovering yourself.
No, I mean, I actually don't know where I am.
This is the old botanical lab in Emerald Vale, on Terra 2. By the look on your face, I'm guessing you're not quite following me. Are you not feeling well? Ought to lay your head down if you're running fever.
Just getting my bearings, I guess. My pod landed not far from here.
Are you talking about an escape pod of some sort? Where did you say you were from?
Didn't say. I arrived here from Earth.
I could do without the mockery. If you don't want to tell me where you're from, that's fine by me.
You don't understand. I'm from the Hope.
Is that a new settlement of some kind? I haven't kept news from outside the Vale.
No, not exactly. It's a colony ship.
Oh, you're talking about that old piece of folklore. Now I'm convinced you're delirious. You really ought to lay your head down, dear. Babbling only agitates the humors. You ought to try some of my purgative tea. Won't cure what ails you, but it will distract you for a spell.
You don't believe me.
Maybe I do. I don't know yet. Growing up, I heard my folks talking about the Hope. Always believed it was just a story we told ourselves to keep our spirits up. Listen, don't you worry about what I think. That's not important. Worry about what the board thinks of you going around talking about lost ships from decades past.
Why? I haven't done anything wrong.
You carry on about coming here from another world, and people will talk. Talk leads to questions. Ask enough questions, and the board comes answering.
I'm not afraid of the board.
No, but the board may have reason to fear you.
Let's talk about something else.
I'm listening.
When we first talked, you assumed I'd come to live here.
I am getting old, you know. These two lamps of mine are not as bright as they once were. Or I might have seen you for what you are.
And what's that?
Remains to be seen. Might be the woman that saves the Vale. Might be Reed's personal gun hand.
Save the Vale?
People around here lack the strength to effect change. Or they have the strength, but not the will. You seem to have both.
Why are you telling me all this?
A little prattling never hurt anyone, dear. You might even catch a little sense, if you listen close enough. I can't stop you from conducting your business down at the plant. I just want you to know that if you take our power away, you will have brought an end to our way of life.
You could always continue your life back in town.
Not under Reed's watch. He and I would come to blows within a day, and he would never tolerate my tending to a garden. This is my home. It will be my home even if Reed cuts our power. Simple as that.
So do you want to tell me what these gold teeth are for?
Haven't you ever seen a novelty paperweight?
Reminds me of this guy I heard about. Someone named Eugene. He had gold teeth.
I remember a Eugene. Pleasant enough boy. Whatever happened to him?
I never said anything happened to him.
I did nothing wrong. The teeth were harvested from a body that went cold long before my tools ever touched it. Gold does not decompose. The teeth had to be removed. And while I am no licensed dentist, I should think I did a fair job of it.
You're using decomposing bodies to fortify the soil and help your crops along.
I cannot tell you how refreshing it is to converse with a rational mind. That's exactly right. Rot is necessary for life. A corpse is bursting with the nutrients a young sapling craves. The crops I grow here are natural, nutritious, healthy. My garden does more than fill the bellies of my flock. It keeps them from falling ill.
You seem pretty calm for someone who just admitted to grinding up corpses for fertilizer.
The Vale's barren. Been that way for years. Soil's been sterile about as long as I can remember.
But you found a way to grow something.
All I did was follow nature's own way. Death is essential to life. When the spirit leaves the body returns to the earth from whence it came. What remains is a carcass moldering neath the soil. Decomposition is a natural process, essential to new life. All life feeds on other life.
You've been pretty quiet, Parvati. Do you have an opinion? She's been using your friends as fertilizer.
Oh, I don't know. If it was me, I'd be glad to volunteer. Keeping others alive, that'd be a beautiful gift to leave. But none of the folk you used had a say. You didn't ask, ma'am. And what about my dad? I talk to his grave every Saturday. Is he even there?
Robert is just where you left him, dear. He died too long ago. By now, he's naught but a skeleton.
You and Reed obviously have some sort of history.
That's because Reed was my boss. I was the cannery's one and only flavor specialist, you see. Remember that limited run of white chocolate saltuna? That was all me.
There's gotta be more to it than that.
My son worked in that cannery. When the plague started coming, he was one of the first to fall sick. We had a store of medicine locked away, but Reed refused to treat him. Said my boy didn't deserve treatment. Said the medicine would have been wasted on him. So I buried my boy in the cemetery, gathered my belongings, and left. That's as much of the story as you need to hear.
It sounds like the town turned its back on you.
fish rots from the head down. I do not blame the town. I blame the leader.
Thank you, we've talked long enough. Despite her unconventional methods, it sounds like Adelaide and the other deserters had a good reason for leaving the town.
Oh, didn't see you there. I was just occupying myself with a little engineering. Whoa, Miss Parvati. Hey, you're, what, how are you? Hi, hello.
Are you, are things safe out here? How are you keeping?
Great, just great. I've been trying to keep stuff running, just like you. Only I'm not so... Wait, they didn't kick you out, did they?
Oh gosh, no. I'm just along with this lady here.
Are you from town? I mean, you don't exactly look like you're from town.
I'm passing through.
Sorry, I just wasn't sure if you were from town or if you were one of us. Something's been chewing at me, you see. Fact is, I've been, well, lying. To everybody here. Camp thinks I'm a mechanical genius, but I couldn't fix a busted chair.
Never too late to start learning. I could give you a couple pointers.
I'll take all the help I can get. I set my mind to learning the craft of the engineer, you see. I want to make something of myself. You ever heard of the Young Spacer's Guide to Mechanical Engineering? Comes in a set of 3. If I had my hands on one of those data pads, I could teach myself the ins and outs.
Those are good. My dad kept a copy with him when he was working in the cannery.
I know the old community center kept a copy. Should find another one back in town. If you could find me even one of those pads, I'd be greatly obliged.
Well, today's your lucky day, Thomas, because I've got one of those data pads you wanted.
No kidding! Really? Well, which one?
Part 2. Found it at the cannery.
Ain't that just ironical? If I'd worked a little longer back at the cannery, I might have found this myself. I appreciate you going through all that trouble. In fact, I put aside something special, on the off chance that somebody'd search out those data pads for me.
I'll let you know if I find any others.
Sure! I'd be glad to take them off your hands.
How long have you lived here?
Couple months. This camp's my home. People you see milling about, they're my family. At least I think of them that way. I owe them my life. Would have died in the wilderness if they hadn't chanced upon me, starving and delirious.
What were you doing out in the wilderness?
We all left the cannery for one reason or another. Me? I was let go, mostly on account of my incompetence. I mean, I was incompetent. I couldn't even survive on my own. Grace found me, Adelaide took me in, I've been on my feet ever since.
You weren't incompetent. You just didn't fit the cannery. Not like here. This place had a U-shaped hole, and now it doesn't.
You could stay, you know. Here. I'd be happy to... I mean, we could really use... oh, this isn't coming out right. If you want, Adelaide would make a place for you.
We should go.
Something you need?
Thomas seemed very fond of you.
He's just interested in fixing stuff. He always used to follow me around, asking me to explain what I was doing. Like a puppy, kinda.
That boy is head over heels for you.
I'm just glad he's alive. That he's okay. I mean, when Mr. Thompson said he was fired, we all expected the worst. If he wants to learn about engineering, we should help him get those data pads he wants. I'd like to do that for him.
Let's get back to it then.
What I wouldn't do for a Wentworth.
I've been sent to fetch you.
Why? Adelaide wants me back on garden duty or something? Thanks, but I'm not going anywhere. This is where I belong.
I can't imagine you're happy out here. Food's awful, company's worse, and no serial dramas.
And no serial dramas. I've been thinking about going back. I just gotta know if Lord Cavendish really is the masked marketeer.
Oh yeah, Stefan told me about your favorite cereal.
So you tracked me down just to gab about the masked marketeer? I am impressed.
Well, my name is Gabby, and I've got one right here. It's yours if you promise to come back.
You actually have it? The episode where Lord Cavendish reveals he's been the masked marketeer all along? All right, you convinced me. I'll take my stuff and head on back, I suppose. Grace is going to be glaring knives at me, so I've got that to look forward to.
Persuading Zoe to return to camp may have been easy, but the really tough call is going to come when we have to decide where to reroute the power in order to obtain our regulator, and finally get our ship off the ground. Thank you so much for joining me in another part of the Outer Worlds. Leave a comment and a like down below if you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to check out the other videos on this playlist so you can catch up if you've missed any episodes. And also, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any gaming content. Until the next one, friends, stay safe and happy wanderings!